Hi guys, welcome to another
No! It's hey guys, welcome back again to another Mystery Monday. And today we're going to be doing something unknown, venturing into the unknown, new. It's going to be new. We're going to be venturing into unknown territory with our recommendations. So get your iPad app, draw on it, grab your whiteboard, grab your pen and paper if you're like a boomer. And I'll see you after the intro.
what he said. Decided to spice things up with my recommendation. My son's birthday was last week, and happy birthday, honey.
Happy birthday.
And one of the best games that we used to play, especially on cars, was a game called Adedonha. So Adedonha is a game that I used to play as a child. I'll get Jesse's help in a minute to get what letter we're gonna use, but basically we do kind of like a grid. I adapted this one for our literary version, but when you play with your children, or you play as a child, or you play with your friends, you basically have headings like name, fruit, color, animal, object, place, you name it. And then you do a hand game to figure out what letter you're gonna use, and you use a letter to fill up those things, and then you compare, and there's a point system. I want to start playing that game with you guys. We will find out what the letter we're gonna be doing is on each episode of the series. And then I'll fill my paper out, and I'll give you a chance to fill your paper out. This can be as interactive as you like to be. I linked a Google Docs down below with this template. You can print it, you can fill it up online, or you can just write down your answers. And I'm comment down below what you came up with, and at the end I'll score all up for each round. So the headings I have are, and with it I'll let you know what the rules. Scores go like this: for every new answer, so let's say if my answer is not repeated by anyone, I get 10 points. If 2 or more people have the same answer, then they all get 5 points, and if you can't think of it, then that's 0 points. When we're ready to play, I'll invite you, if you want to join me, to just pause it, get your answers, and come right back, and I'll remind you when that happens. The headings I have for this: author. For author, I'm choosing to go with last name. So whatever letter we play in the round in, the author's last name has to start with that letter. Then we have book title. It can be any book title, any genre you want. And grammatical articles do not count. So the, a, and they do not count as the first full word in the book title that will count for this. Character, and can be any character. And for this, it can be the character's first name, the character's last name. It can be a character you like, a character you hate. The only thing is you need to know what book they're from. And place, it can be any place a book is set on, is located. So you can go with the city, state, province, country. I recommend you don't, but if you wanna use a proper place like ship or farm, university, you can. But I suggest you don't, because it's not gonna be as fun that way. And again, same rule, you have to know where book it comes from. And lastly, I have adaptation, which is the title of a book has to start with a letter, but that book needs to have been adapted, either for a play, a TV show, or a movie. And I'll also consider if that book has been reimagined or retold. So for that, the original book is the name that we count for this, but you need to know what book it's a retelling of. Just one more rule, and the rule is this needs to be a book that you have read. You don't have to own it. You could have read because it was borrowed from the library, audiobook, ebook, physical book, it doesn't matter, but it has to be a book you have read. And no cheating. I'll invite Jesse to come choose the letter with me. So the way that we do this, our version of rock, paper, scissors, is as many people are playing, we're gonna say Adedonha, and when we say nha, we throw our hands and then we count how many fingers were put in the middle, and then we equate that to a letter in the alphabet based on its position. Are you ready, Jess?
Yeah.
They need to see your hand. Adedonha. He has two, A, B, C. Our letter is C.
C like Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Kentucky.
I know it's spelled for K.
Okay.
I was trying to make a joke.
Okay, so if you're playing this game, pause now and give us your answers. And I'll... Okay, I've got it. Character in place was kind of hard, but what I'll do now is I'll get the books I do have in the physical form, and then we'll meet outside, and I'll use these prompts to recommend some books to you. They are all kind of the thriller, mystery, suspense that works perfectly for a Mystery Monday. Okay, I'm done and I got my books. I hope you have finished yours. If you're hearing this, I assume you're ready. So let's get to it, shall we? The first one, author. I do not own the book in any format yet, even though I want to, but I'm waiting for the beautiful cover. I read it from the library, and it is The Nesting. And the author is C.J. Cook. She's amazing, and I highly recommend this book. It's gothic, it's atmospheric, and it tells the story of Tom, who's this architect that is hell-bent on building this state-of-the-art house that is both extremely modern but sustainable. And he also wants this in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the Norwegian wilderness. So he goes and he starts building like his house, but unfortunately his wife passes and he's unable to finish that project. He still keeps thinking about it. He goes back to England and he decides to go again. Only he has two young children, one of which is not even 1 year old yet, that have both just lost their mom. So obviously he needs a nanny, but finding the perfect nanny that is able to raise them, educate them, care for them, but is also willing to give up every aspect of their life for 7 months. So like I said, they are in the middle of nowhere, is a tall order. Let's pause that, shall we? Let's meet at Lexi. So Lexi is this girl who feels like life is not on her side. She just reached a low point in her life. She tried to commit suicide. She survived, but her boyfriend of years and years and years decided he can't cope with that anymore. So not only does he break up with her, he kicks her out of their house. So she has nowhere to go, no one to be with. She just hops on this train. On this train, she's sitting right behind these two girls that are talking. One of them, Sophie, tells her friend about this beautiful, perfect opportunity that she is just about to apply for. She's been a nanny or an educator for years and years and years, and she found this job that pays too well. It sounds just perfect, and the kicker of this job is you have to live in Norway for 7 months, where you get room and board, and basically all the money you make is your own. So Sophie is highly qualified and she's going to apply. As she tells her friend that, she has on her screen the application ready to go, filled out and everything. And her friend says, "Oh, Sophie, please don't go. I'm pregnant. My baby is going to be doing less than 7 months and I really need you here with me." And then Sophie is deciding that, okay, you know what? If she has to choose between the two, she has a good job now, so she will stay. And Lexi overhears all of that and she really wants this job because everything she needs. She'll be isolated from the world so she can actually heal herself and move on. She'll be making a lot of money because she has no dime to her name, and all the money she can save because she won't have anything to spend it on, and it'll be the perfect opportunity to get her into rehab when she comes back and get her life on track. but she has no experience, and she knows she's not gonna get her job if she applies to herself. Luck is on her side this time because the friends decide to go get refreshments in a different wagon of the train, and Sophie offers to just watch her belongings so nobody steals them. So as she's watching the girls' belongings, Lexi takes a picture of the screen. I mean, Sophia's not gonna apply. She's definitely a shoo-in, right? So of course, she pretends to be Sophie, applies to the job, gets the job, and goes to Norway. Things are finally working out. As soon as she's there, she's really happy. I mean, she's still anxious because she doesn't want anyone to find out that her name is Lexi and not Sophie. But being isolated, odds are on her side, and she falls in love with both girls right from the get-go. Weird things starts to happen, and the atmosphere changes. Sophie starts to wonder if she's seeing things. The eldest girl, Gaia, says that she sees this very sad lady, and things get creepy fast. And Sophie doesn't know what she's dealing with, but there's one thing she knows. At this point, she loves these girls, and she will stop at nothing to make sure they're safe. Next, I have book title. And for the book title, I chose Closed Casket by Sophie Hannah. And Sophie has been commissioned by the Agatha Christie estate to write new Poirot novels. They all start before The Mysterious Affair in Styles, which is Poirot's debut novel by Agatha Christie. I have my thoughts on it. I love Sophie Hannah as a writer, but Poirot is one of my favorite characters of all time. When I was growing up, he was part of my imaginary family. I used to pretend that, you know, I was his favorite granddaughter. I started reading them young, okay? But anyway, does Sophie write like Agatha Christie? No. Decided to read these as their own books. They are really good. I really enjoyed them. They are fast mysteries. Poirot here is not my Poirot, but that's fine. I still highly recommend the series. I really enjoy them, and I love Sophie to death. She's super cute. Her books that she writes for herself, her own books, are amazing. I have some to recommend, and she's funny, she's cheeky, and she did something with this book that I really loved, and I'll get to it at the end of the synopsis. So in Closed Casket, we have this lady, wealthy as can be, Lady Playford. She's a children's author, and she has a lot of money, and she calls in her lawyer and a few other guests to spend, you know, the weekend at her estate. First, she meets with her lawyer, and she tells her lawyer, listen, I want to change my will, and I will change my will. I'm not leaving anything for my children anymore. They are freaking spoiled brats, can't stand the sight of them. They are leeches. I'm leaving everything to this person. And who's that person, you may ask? Is someone that they barely know, is a very young man who has just a few weeks to leave. So the lawyer draws the will. It is what it is. And then during that first dinner they have together, Lady Playford has the pleasure of announcing in front of everyone her plans. You got me right. Her children got to hear that. And the person who's inheriting the money was also invited, and they all get to hear it at the same time. It comes as a shock. And I guess who else was invited? Poirot, of course, and Scotland Yard's own Sketchpool. The Hastings to Poirot in the series. Poirot wasn't born yesterday, right? And he goes, why is the lady asking me? Nobody invites me unless they suspect something is gonna happen. What is this lady afraid of? Does she think someone will get killed? And lo and behold, someone gets killed. But it's not the person who would be the most usual choice. It's someone completely unexpected, and we go from there. I recommend this book. If I've read all 4 of them so far. If you want me to talk about them all and review them on a video, let me know down below. But the one thing that I love the most about it, and it was the reason I started loving Sophie Hannah even more, is because, do you know who her editor was? Yes, Daniel Mallory. Do you know who Daniel Mallory is? Only the one author that I can badmouth until I'm blue in the face and I don't freaking care, A.J. Finn. He is so problematic. There's a lot of things I don't like about him. A lot of things I don't like about him. I'll link down below both my blogs. So my blog entry for The Woman in the Window, so you have my own thoughts on why I hate him. And I'll also link an article that I found that mentions everything more in depth about what's problematic with him, including the suspicion that Sophie Hannah did a character study in this book based on the very own A.J. Finn and his shenanigans. But I suggest, if you're interested in reading this book, don't read the article because it spoils parts of it. But yeah, the girl had the galls. She actually hired a private investigator because she didn't believe some of the things he was coming up with. And even though this has never been confirmed or denied, when you read the book and you know what he's done, it's pretty obvious that she drew a lot of inspiration from here, and she used other medias too to expose him. Girl power. Any girl, any woman that has the balls to do this, I applaud. And I like her. Anyway, next I had character. I chose Caitlin, who is one of the main characters of the novel by Nina Manning, The Bridesmaid. I read this book. It was on, I have it as an ebook. It was 99 cents on Kindle. I didn't expect much from it, but I was like, okay, I need more thrillers, a fast, and I was so freaking surprised. It was amazing. It's literally unputdownable. You start reading and you're just so intrigued. I love the way that Manning use the two voices and the dual timeline to get you hooked. So we have Sasha, our main character, and Caitlin. They have been best friends since they were friends, and Sasha would stop at nothing to make Caitlin happy. Where Caitlin can be a little entitled. She had one thing in common with Sasha, which is that her happiness also comes first to herself. So it was a very one-sided relationship where both girls really did love each other. It's just one had more to give. Like I said, Sasha really loved Caitlin and kept her darkest of secrets and would stop at nothing, including making some sacrifices at times to make sure Caitlin was happy. Fast forward, they are now in her adulthood. Caitlin gets engaged and she will get married. And of course, she asks Sasha to be her bridesmaid. At that point, Sasha still loves her, but she was trying to move away a little bit from Caitlin because, you know, enough is enough. But at the point, Sasha was trying to get a little bit away from Caitlin because she was getting at the point that she was ready to, you know, call it what it is and enough is enough, but she can't. Not this time, not for this, not when someone asks you to be a bridesmaid. She gets this emotional internal conflict. Sasha wants to make sure Caitlin's wedding is perfect and she do everything she can, but there's one thing. There's something that she needs to talk to Caitlin about. She just can't find the right moment, but she knows it has to happen. As the wedding planning goes, Caitlin becomes more and more of a bridezilla. The more entitled and demanding she gets, the closer Sasha is getting to the point of no return. Next, I have place. For place, I went with California. This book takes place in San Diego. It's a YA book, but it was a really fast, enjoyable read. It's called She's Too Pretty to Burn by Wendy Hurd. And there's a lot of things to love about this YA book. First, it has sapphic romance. It represents the LGBTQIA plus community very well. Adults are present-ish. And it's a reimagining of one of my favorite classics, The Picture of Dorian Gray. In it, we follow Veronica and Nico. They are best friends, have been forever. They're both artists in their own right. Veronica takes pictures. Nico is an avid, chaotic performance artist. One day, out of the blue, coincidence has it, they meet Mick. Mick is this girl with a rocky relationship with her mom, and more beautiful than anything. Veronica is compelled by her, intrigued by her. They become friends, and adding another person to their friendship really changes the dynamics between Veronica and Nico. Veronica falls in love with Mick and is compelled by taking her picture because she's so beautiful. The one photograph really sends all of their lives down a spiral. And I would like to finish with the hook line from the publishers, because I really think that it tells a lot about the book without spoiling it, and that's what made me want to read it in the first place. 1 fire, 2 murders, 3 drowning bodies, 1 suspect, 1 stalker. This is a summer they won't survive. And it took me forever to get this. Like, place is hard, you guys, because I kept thinking of like places with C and trying to remember if any books was part of it, and I couldn't. And then I was determined to go for California. California, that's it. And then this was the first book I could think of that was set in California. Last but not least, we have an adaptation. And for this, I will go for one of my top Agatha Christie's. I think this is a fine example of Agatha Christie's at her finest hour. It's, in my opinion, one of the most underrated books that she has ever written. It's fantastic. It's her at her best, and it's The Crooked House. It has been adapted recently. I don't know why it took them so long. I'll go into the adaptation in a minute, but I will talk about the synopsis. So we have this family, the Leonides. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but it is what it is. And they are stricken by tragedy when their patriarch, I can't say this name either, guys, Aristides, let's call him Mari, okay? When their patriarch dies of poisoning. He was poisoned by his own eye drops. Was it an accident or was it murder? Suspicion is in the air, because here's the thing, he's married to this super uber younger woman that none of the family likes. Why does it matter if the family likes or not? Well, because his children are kind of leeches. This is a house in which 3 generations live together. It's huge, so they all have their own wing and everything. But it could have been his beautiful young wife. But people are talking, there is not enough evidence. So we have the eldest granddaughter, Sophia. She loved her grandpa, and she's engaged to be married to Charles Hayward. He's a criminologist. Sophia is very dutiful. She wants to marry him, she really does, but she tells him she can't unless the killer is arrested, because she cannot cope with that shadow of a doubt on their relationship. Especially because, like I said, Charles is a criminologist, so that doubt that could have been someone in their family, including Sophia, we always chase him. It will affect his reputation and his work, and also will cast a very poor light on his father, who's none other than the assistant commissioner for the Scotland Yard. Okay, so she is determined that for them to continue their relationship, truth has to come out, whatever it is. If it's one of her own family, so be it, at least people will know. And she even offered an in. She said, you know what, you can be our inside man, Charlie, dear. I'll stay in my house, and you can come in as my guest. After all, you are my fiancé. You can talk to people without letting them know that you are investigating everyone and what happened. And you can report back to, you know, the detective that is in charge. You know, get the evidence, let them know they can come in here with a warrant and things like that. Let's do this, shall we? And do that they do until they find or not the killer. Will this work to their advantage, or is this gonna be the end of them all? I don't know, but the characters here are amazing. The story is compelling, and I'm not even gonna talk anymore because I don't want to spoil it. But if you can pick up an Agatha Christie book, go for that. And it has been adapted. I still have the Blu-ray, guys. I know that we don't play those things anymore, but everything that I see with Agatha Christie I collect. I don't know how many editions I have with some of her books. It's like, she is my favorite. So here, and this one actually, for an adaptation, it wasn't really bad. It was fairly faithful to the book. There has been a couple of changes, but nothing that really spoiled, so I was impressed. And the cast is amazing. We have Glenn Close, Max Irons, Gillian Anderson, Christina Hendricks. It's like pretty good adaptation, and you have a chance on your streaming devices to watch it. I recommend it too, but read the book first. You need to read the book. Oh, so that is it for my recommendation. I had 5 books for you, all related to the letter C. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have you read any of those books? And if you can, comment down below with your answers, and I'll tally us all up, and I'll add to the Google Doc that I linked in my description. You can check it anytime. And I hope you liked it, and I can't wait to see what letter we're gonna do next. Until next time, guys, be the hummingbird. Mwah.